Hi everybody. You've heard of soft skills for jobs. Today we're going to talk about the soft skills for stenography, beginning with punctuality.
Back in college, I and almost all the other students would arrive to class at the last minute that it was supposed to start. Sometimes this could not be avoided because I was coming from a previous class that just ended 10 minutes before this one, and I had to bike across campus to get there. Being there at the exact start time was considered on time and punctual. For stenography jobs, I have a whole different definition of being punctual. Now I check out the job at least 24 hours in advance or 2 days in advance to make sure they have all the parts needed to make it a successful experience for the client. For example, I'd check for the audio link. Sometimes it's Zoom, sometimes Microsoft Teams, other times it's just a phone number to call. I check for the stream text link, and by checking well in advance, I can ask for help and get it set up with enough time to do the job if needed. Next, I set up 4 alarms for each job. Unless it's right after another job and the alarm would interfere with the previous job, otherwise I'll set an alarm for 1 hour ahead, half an hour ahead, 10 minutes ahead, and 5 minutes ahead of the job. Each alarm will say the company code and the word cart. For example, XY cart for XY company. Because stenography is such a mentally taxing activity, I use the hour ahead to get psyched up for work. Sometimes I set up the computer half an hour early and rest before the job knowing everything is ready to go. In my early years as a stenographer, I had some mishaps that occurred making the job malfunction. For example, I'd arrive to find out the admin didn't provide a Zoom link, and without audio, I couldn't do my job. Or the stream text link wasn't set up yet, and I had to wait for them to set it up, causing a delay in cart captioning. Another time, I arrived to discover my computer decided to run an hour-long update, and I couldn't do my job. These days, those updates are smarter and they don't hijack your whole computer. One time, I hadn't updated my Microsoft Teams software, and another time, my Zoom version was out of date, causing a delay to the job. All of these mishaps are avoidable with early intervention. I learned to check for these things and helped the admin supervisors multiple times with checking for the Zoom link early. This is what it means to be punctual to your stenography job. It has affected my personal life too, where I now show up early, regularly, to personal lunch dates with friends. This gives me time to recover from the stress of driving and not arrive at exactly the start time in a state of stress. Building margins into your schedule helps every job and personal meeting have a better outcome. When admin supervisors get complaints from clients that their cart captioners showed up late, guess what? The complaints make your likelihood of being preferred for the next job less likely. So being punctual is very important. It's the competitive edge and a necessary soft skill to have for every job, stenography included. Other soft skills for your career include things like being organized, and never sending a transcript to the wrong client, which is a violation of privacy and confidentiality. Also, once you accept a job, try not to have to return it to the agency. Stickiness is important. If they feel that when you accept assignments, you're going to possibly give it back when you get a different offer from somebody else that is more lucrative to yourself, your unreliableness will put a question mark in their minds next time they think about assigning you a job. And guess what? Even though sometimes you have to bite your lip and just feel the pain of passing up a better paying, bigger job because a small one is in the same time slot, by being sticky and reliable, you will earn the reputation that when a job is assigned to you, it's not likely going to be returned. Admin staff do not like to have to do their jobs more than once. If they've assigned a job to you and it gets returned to them, and they have to assign it to someone else, that makes their same job twice as hard, and they don't get paid extra for doing more work. There have been captioners who have given back jobs on short notice to the companies because they accepted better offers from another company. This is bad practice and should be avoided at all costs. Your reputation as a good worker matters more than the little extra money you could make switching assignments. Do every job well, even the little jobs, and the big ones will be yours in time because you've proven yourself trustworthy. And the supervisors like when you put their interests before your own. Don't think about switching jobs for the little more that you can make for yourself. Think about being reliable to them for what they've assigned to you. So you will wince at the awesome job that you have to let pass, but that's part of the emotional landscape of being a freelance stenographer and having soft skills. Another soft skill is honest communication. Whatever happened, it's better to just say what really happened instead of lying about it. Those people that give back jobs to take a better offer from somewhere else sometimes lie about why they're giving the jobs back. They say they're sick or something like that. But soon they're really sick and need a break, and nobody knows if it's real or not, because they're sure sick a lot more than the average person is, right? And then suspicions arise that you're lying about being sick or having some mishap come up that alters your plans to cover for the job. Just don't go there. Honesty is the best policy. I once realized that a certain mishap was my fault, and that it was ambiguous as to whose fault it was, the admin's or mine. I shot an email to make it clear to the agency owner that it was my fault and not the admin's. It was a simple admission of error to clearly take any blame off the admin's for something I don't even remember what it was anymore that I had done. About 6 months later, the agency owner said to me that the admin liked working with me and said so to her. I thought about it and realized, probably because I admitted my mistake in a candid email to the CEO of the company and CC'd the admin on the email. It wasn't necessary to do so because nobody would have blamed me for it, as it was an ambiguous situation. But as soon as I realized it, I sent the email out. People don't blame you for being human and making mistakes. nearly as bad as they will if you try to pin the tail on a different donkey for the mistake and blame someone who doesn't deserve it. So that's another soft skill that's necessary: honest communication. One time I no-showed myself to a job. Just totally forgot that I had a job to cover for that time slot. Somehow, even with my 8-fold redundant system of keeping jobs in mind, that one slipped by. I wrote an incident report simply stating, "Captioner no-showed to the job." And my supervisor simply remarked that I was human after all, and that was that. As long as you're mostly organized and don't do it more than once in 10 years, you're probably good. If you're disorganized and it happens a lot more than that, then your career will be toast.
And that is the spotlight on soft skills for stenography. Okay, there are probably more that I missed. You can put it in the chat if you can think of other ones, but those are the ones that came to mind. Okay, bye-bye. Have a nice day.